Hi everyone, we are the group 4 and our topic is Exile in the Pitan, Trial and Execution. This unit will help us understand that it is not enough to be educated ourselves and to develop our talents. Rizal proved in the Pitan that if one decides to, an individual can change the lives of other people. 4 days after the civic organization's foundation, La Liga Filipina, Jose Rizal was arrested by the Spanish authorities on 4 grounds: for publishing anti-Catholic and anti-friar books and articles, for having in possession a bundle of handbills, the Pobres Frailes, in which advocacies were in violation of the Spanish orders, for dedicating his novel El Filibusterismo to the three traitors, Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora, and for emphasizing on the novel's title page that the only salvation for the Philippines was separation from the mother country, and for simply criticizing the religion and aiming for its exclusion from the Filipino culture. Rizal's deportation to the Bitan was made a secret because his life was also in danger. In November 1893, however, there soon appeared a man who introduced himself as a relative named Pablo Mercado. Rizal became suspicious with the man because of some inconsistencies he heard when he asked him questions. Most of all, Rizal's suspicions grew all the more when the man asked to obtain some of his books or writings. Rizal dismissed the man. The man left hurriedly, but upon realizing that the man could not have any place to stay for the night, Rizal invited him nonetheless to stay with him for the night. The following morning, Pablo Mercado was gone. Upon reporting to CHS, the commandant immediately ordered a search for the man. Quiet later, they caught the man, who it turned out was named Florencio Nanaman. It turned out upon investigation that Nanaman was sent to the Pitan by the procurator of Augustinian Recollects in order to assassinate Rizal. So that's end my report. Thank you.
The quiet place of the Pitan became Rizal's home from 1892 to 1896. Rizal arrived in the Pitan and he decided to improve it to the best of his God-given talents and to awaken the civic consciousness of its people. He wrote to Father Pastels and he told that he wanted to do all that he can for the town. In the Pitan, Rizal had an exemplary life, idyllic in serenity. In August 1893, members of his family took turns in visiting him in order to assuage his loneliness in the isolated outpost of the Spanish power in the Moroland. He built his house by the seashore of Talisay, surrounded by fruit trees, and also he had another house for his schoolboys and a hospital for his patients. One little known about Rizal was that he was also an inventor. He invented a cigarette lighter which he has sent a Blumentritt. He called it as a sulpukan, and this unique cigarette lighter was made of wood. By its mechanism, Rizal is based on the principle of the compressed air. Rizal conducted his school at his home in Talisay, near the Pitan, where he had his farm and hospital. His favorite rendezvous with his boys was under a Talisay tree, after which the place was named. In honor of Talisay, he wrote a poem entitled Hymno at Talisay for his pupils to sing. Rizal found out that Mindanao is a rich virgin field of collecting specimens. With his explored the jungles and the coast, seeking specimens of insects, birds, snakes, lizards, frogs, shells, and plants. He sent these specimens to the Museum of Europe, specifically Dresden Museum. In payment of these valuable specimens, the European scientist sent him scientific books and surgical instruments. That's all, and thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is John Reyntara Repamonte, and my report is the continuation of Miss Piquero's report. So let's start. So, did you know that Rizal never had drank hard liquor and never smoked, but he was a lottery addict? During his first sojourn in Madrid from 1882 to 1885, he always invested at least three pesetas, pesetas, the former currency of Spain, month in lottery tickets. So, according to Wenceslao Irinata, this was his only vice. So, Wenceslao Irinata was his first Spanish biographer and former enemy. So, Rizal's shares of winning lottery ticket was 6,200 pesos. So, he gave 2,000 pesos to his father and 200 pesos to his friend Basa in Hong Kong, and the rest invested well by purchasing agricultural lands along the coast of Talisay, about 1 kilometer away from the Pitan. So, in the Pitan, he bought 16 hectares of land in Talisay, where he built his home, school, and hospital, and planted cacao, coffee, sugarcane, coconuts, and fruit trees. So, my land, in his letter, My Land, he wrote to his sister Trinidad, which quote, is half an hour from the sea. It is very poetic and very picturesque. If you and our parents will come, I will build a big house we can all live in. Rizal engaged in businesses. So he does not just dwell in agricultural, but he also dwell in businesses. So he partnered with Roman Cameron, a merchant in the Pitan. He then ventured in fishing, copra, and industry. Hemp industry. So did you know that Rizal's most profitable business is from the hemp industry? So once he shipped 150 bales of hemp to Manila. So what are hemps? So hemp or industrial hemp is a botanical class of cannabis sativa cultivars grown specifically for industrial and medical use. It can be used to make wide range of products. So that was his most profitable business, the hemp from the hemp industries. So he invited his relative Saturnina and Hidalgo to come to Mindanao. He particularly told Saturnina that in the Pitan she could profitably engage in the textile, jewelry, and hemp businesses. So did you know that Rizal held title for expert surveyor or perito agrimensor? He obtained it from the Ateneo Municipal. From his practical knowledge at agrimensor, he widened his knowledge by reading engineering-related books. So in the Pitan, he applied his knowledge of engineering by constructing a system of waterworks in order to furnish clean water system in the Pitan. So that would be all, and I will pass the floor to Mr. Rodney Umanda.
Good day everyone, I am Rodney Umandam and I will be the one to report the result as a physician in the Pitan. When Rizal arrived in the Pitan, he was sad to see dirty, unkept, and unprogressed. He decided to improve it to the best of his God-given talents and to awaken to the civic consciousness of its people. So he had many patients, but most of them were poor, so that even gave them free medicine. And to his friend in Hong Kong, Mr. Marquez, Mr. Marquez wrote, "Her, the people are poor that I have even give to medicine gratis." He had However, some rich patients who paid him handsomely for his surgical skill. In February 1895, Doña Chodora, with her eyesight is fully restored, returned to Manila. During her long stay in Dapitan, she saw that how busy her talented son was, regretted that he had neglected as muses. She requested him to write a poetry again, and Rizal was often sad. He missed his family and relatives, his good friends in foreign lands, the exhilarating life in the city of Europe, and how happy days in Calamba. The death of Leonor Rivera on August 23, 1893, left a poignant void in heart. He needed somebody to cheer him up in his lonely exile. On July 31, 1896, Rizal's four-year exile in Dapitan came to end. At midnight of that date, he embarked on the board of steamer Spania. He was accompanied and Josephine Narcisa and Angelica, Narcisa's daughter, his three nephews, and six pupils. Almost all the Pitan folks, young and old, were at the shore to bid him goodbye. Many wept as the steamer sailed away, especially pupils who are too poor to accompany their beloved teacher to Manila. As well as farewell music to the town brass band strangely played to the dolorous funeral march of Chopin. As its melancholy melody floated in the air, Rizal must have felt it deeply, for with his presentiment of death, it seems to obsecure or requiem. On July 30, 1896, Rizal's request to go Cuba was approved, and the next day he left to Manila on board to the steamer to Spania. On September 13, 1896, he boarded to the steamer Isla de Panay, which would bring him to Barcelona. Upon arriving in the fort, however, Gobernador and General Despujol told him that there was an order to ship him back to Manila. On November 3, 1896, Rizal arrived in Manila and was immediately brought to Fort Santiago. And that's the end of my report. Thank you for listening.
So good morning everyone. So next is the preliminary investigation of Rizal's case began on November 20, 1896. So he was accused of being the main organizer of the revolution by having proliferated the ideas of rebellion and of founding illegal organizations. Rizal pleaded not guilty and even wrote a manifesto appealing to the revolutionaries to discontinue the uprising. This manifesto, written in his prison cell at Fort Santiago. The manifesto, which tried to convince Filipinos to end the revolt, had 5 points. First, he absolved himself by declaring that he was never a part of the revolution. His name was used to attract Filipinos to join the revolution. Second, he was consulted about the planned revolution, but he advised the perpetrators to abandon it. Third, he wanted to stop the rebellion by offering his services to the people. Fourth, he condemned the revolution as ridiculous and barbarous. Fifth and the last point is the uprising was not an option at that time. The reform should be the authorities' initiative, not the citizens. He made it clear that the people's education is potent in inducing changes in the society. Fortunately for Rizal, Judge Advocate General Nicolas de la Peña recommended to Governor Polavieja that the manifesto to be suppressed. Accordingly, the publication was prohibited. Thus, Rizal was saved from the shame of his manifestos being misinterpreted and disobeyed by the Filipinos in arms. So, thank you for listening. That's all.
Good day, everyone. My name is Richie Ramos, and my report is all about Spanish injustice and misrule. Rizal was tied with a military court composed of an alien military officers. His case was prejudged. He was considered guilty before the actual trial. The military court met not to judge him, but to accuse and condemn him. The judge was accepting all the charges and testimony against Rizal, but ignoring all the arguments and proof in his favor. Rizal was not given a chance to face the witnesses against him in an open court. Lieutenant Tavel de Andrade is a lawyer of Jose Rizal, really tried his best to save Rizal. But on December 26, 1896, the trial ended and his sentence was read. Jose Rizal was found guilty and sentenced to death by firing squad. On December 28, 1896, Governor General Camilo de Puleveda signed the court decision, decreed that Rizal be executed by firing squad at 7 a.m. of December 30, 1896. On Rizal's remaining days, he composed his longest poem entitled Mi Ulti Amo Adios. It is about his farewell to the Filipino people. So, Mi Ulti Amo Adios means my last farewell. On December 29, 1896, his mother and his sister visited him. Rizal handed the gas lamp to his sister Trinidad and murmured softly in English, "There is something inside." The inside of the lamp is a copy of Rizal's last poem. So it is the Ultimo Adios, or my last farewell. So he put his longest poem inside the lamp. So we can see the picture. It is his sister, Rizal's sisters, the Trinidad Rizal. It is Trinidad Rizal, and the other picture is it is the lamp. It is the actual photo of a lamp he gave to his sister Trinidad. So that ends my report. Thank you for listening, and God bless us all.
Around 6:30 in the morning, December 30, on the day of his execution, Rizal wore a black suit with white shirt and a tie and a derby hat. He was composed while he was ushered to the spot where he was to be killed by a firing squad composed of Filipino soldiers. He requested that he face the firing squad, but this was denied because, accordingly, he was a traitor to Spain. He even declined to be blindfolded. At the last moment, a military doctor, Felipe Castello, came to check his pulse. Unsurprisingly, the doctor found it normal. A priest then came forward to have him kiss a crucifix, but he turned his face away from it. The drums then rolled signaled, and after which the Spanish commandant ordered, "Fire! Consummatum est! It is finished," Rizal said in a loud voice. His body fell to the ground facing the sun. It was just 7:03 in the morning of December 30, 1896. Rizal died offering his life for his country and its freedom, so that his mortal remains wouldn't become a rallying point for Filipinos. The Spaniards immediately whisked Rizal's body away. It was only days later that this was found to have been buried secretly in Paco Cemetery of one of his sisters. It had not even been placed inside a coffin but was just dumped in an unmarked grave. Executed as traitor to his country, Rizal was to be confined to oblivion, believing that he had achieved victory. The Spaniards wanted to blot out the memory of Rizal forever. But that was not the last of Rizal. After his martyrdom of Bagumbayan, Pasiano made copies of his Ultimo Adios, which he distributed among Katipuneros. Instead of being cowed by Rizal execution, the Ultimo Adios even gave them the greater resolve to fight even to death for the sake of Filipinas. While the volley of bullets were coming towards them, the Katipuneros remembered Rizal's poem. Others are giving you their lives on field battle, fighting joyfully, without hesitation or thought for the consequence. He was there with them, for they had him in their hearts.